What's up, tennis fans? Sleepy Picks here. This is going to be part 2 of our quarterfinals preview. We'll be looking at Casper Ruud against Alexander Blockx and Flavio Cobolli against Alexander Zverev. Let's take a look at the matchups. First semifinal we're going to look at is Casper Ruud against Alexander Blockx, and Ruud able to get through a tough match against Tsitsipas 6-7, 7-6, 7-6, and this has got to be a tough loss for Tsitsipas. He had a break in the third set, and only one break for each of these guys. And Tsitsipas was able to get the first break. Ruud was 1 for 12 on break points, but gets the one when he needs it to bring the match back to 5-all and win that one in a breaker. Couple of points for Tsitsipas for match points, and he's not able to convert there. Just a really tough match, because I really do feel like Tsitsipas played very well, but you look at the stats and you see, I think he's had like 40 winners and 45 unforced, something like that. So a lot of errors, a lot of high risk tennis from Tsitsipas, but I liked what I saw. The big serve, he saved so many break points. 12 break points, only one was converted. He saved 11 of them, and most of them were not on Ruud's errors. Most of them were Tsitsipas playing the much stronger tennis. But when push comes to shove and you have these moments where you have to take the win, you cannot just wait for a guy like Casper Ruud to give you an error, because he's not going to. Tsitsipas wasn't able to step up. Back-to-back match points, doesn't convert. Casper Ruud able to come back and win in a breaker, and he wins in 3 sets. Blockx, on the other hand, had a little bit of an easier time with Cerundolo, and this has to be the surprise of the round of 16 here for me. Not just because, obviously, it was an upset, big upset here, Blockx winning 7-6, 6-2, but because of the clay court prowess that Cerundolo has. We know he's a solid clay court player, and this is a big-time win for Alexander Blockx. The first set, at the beginning, it felt more like Blockx had to win that set to kind of keep this match even. But as the set started to go on and we got to the breaker, the more and more it felt like Cerundolo really needed this set. He was not playing the greatest of tennis, and it kind of showed in the breaker, just the low percentages and the precarious situations he was putting himself in time and time again, and that came out a little bit in the breaker. He did have a couple of set points, wasn't able to convert any of them. But the thing that stood out to me the most in that first set breaker was the fact that on the big points, I felt like Cerundolo multiple times was hitting a second serve. And when you're playing against anyone, anyone in the top 50, top 60 on tour, it's so hard to be defending your second serve on a big point like this. You got to be able to make the first serve. And then conversely, Blockx was able to make the first serve on the big points, on those set points that Cerundolo had. It was a Blockx wide serve that converted every single time, and Cerundolo's looking over to his camp, and they're kind of just signaling, like, just block the return back. You're so far back to begin with. Just put the return back in play and see what happens, because we did see a little bit of nerves from Blockx in this breaker. The only problem was Cerundolo couldn't get enough balls in play to really make do on those nerves. And Blockx is able to convert the first set, winning 10-8 in the breaker. He then gets up an early break, and we see the frustration start to set in on Cerundolo. It didn't look good. A lot of unforced errors here from Cerundolo. I believe he was at, I think it was 35 plus, maybe. I think he was at 36 or 37. Just very tough match here for Francisco Cerundolo. And, when he was able to, if we were to isolate some points, you will see, when he's able to get his forehand and dictate with the forehand, Blockx had no chance. But to have that many unforced errors, especially in those big time break points, on that set point, we saw he didn't want to take that risk of maybe hammering a forehand, was going aggressive to the middle. And guys like Blockx, you're gonna have to take this match from them. We've seen this now against Shelton, who came up with a ton of amazing points to save break points and break chances and win in straight sets over Blockx. And then the same thing with de Minaur. Very strong tennis from Alex de Minaur to take out Blockx, and Cerundolo was not able to produce that type of tennis, and he loses with Blockx advancing 7-6, 6-2. Looking at this head-to-head, no record here for these guys. We have Casper Ruud. He's coming in 5-1 on the clay, 14-5 last year, 24-7 the year before. He is the defending champion here in Madrid. Alexander Blockx on the other side is 9-2 on the clay this year, 4-4 last year, 7-3 the year before, and I just feel like we have so much more of Alexander Blockx to see. He is playing some very good, strong tennis, and we've seen this on the challenger level. 46-28 last year from Blockx, 31-24 the year before, 39-15 the year before that. When he was on those lower levels, he was dominating, playing extremely well, and this was the guy that I felt like could make this breakthrough. But every time earlier this year, last year, that he got that chance to step up in these ATP tournaments, we saw just like a lot of nerves and not being comfortable, believing in his game. But now it's a totally different Alexander Blockx, and this makes it extremely exciting, especially as we go into the French Open. He's starting to believe in his game, and he's taking out guys now like Felix Auger-Aliassime, like Brendan Nakashima, like Francisco Cerundolo. Just really, really good results here for Blockx. Casper Ruud, on the other hand, a straight set win over Munar and a straight set win over Fokina. And we did talk about, how we haven't seen Casper Ruud tested until this Tsitsipas match, and that kind of made me a little bit nervous. Given the fact that it seems like the bigger servers are having a lot of success here on the clay in Madrid. The ball's carrying a little bit faster. So Casper Ruud definitely tested today in a tough 3-hour match against Tsitsipas. Casper Ruud's coming in. He's got 5 hours and 22 minutes on the court. Alexander Blockx, 7 hours and 21 minutes. I'm curious if that's going to catch up to him here. If the moment might be a little bit too much. I think, if these guys met earlier on, if we're talking like a second round match, I'm probably thinking Blockx is going to be able to maybe pull out a win. But we have so many factors here, guys, that I'm not sure if he's going to be able to do it. Number one, we have the defending champion, Casper Ruud, coming in. Number two, we have Blockx looking to get to his first semi-final of a Masters series. And then number three, we have a lot of core hours for Alexander Blockx. It is important to note, too, that Casper Ruud has a loss to Felix on the clay in Monte Carlo, where Blockx was able to beat him in straight sets. That was the retirement that Casper Ruud gave in there. With I can't remember what the injury was, but I remember him saying that it kind of snuck up on him, and he didn't feel it until the beginnings of the second set. So here's what I'm looking at, guys. Number one, we know Casper Ruud prone to unforced errors, but he seems to really like this surface. His forehand is clicking on this surface. I thought, the first set, I was so shocked that Tsitsipas won that set because I felt like Casper Ruud played very well. Like I thought his, but again, haunted a little bit by those unforced errors. I think he had 40, maybe like 35 plus unforced errors in this match. Obviously, an extremely long match. That's what worries me. If he comes out, if Casper Ruud comes out and that forehand is clicking, he's going to be blocked in straights. But if he comes out and that forehand is just a little bit off, I think we're going to have a tricky match here for him. I'm curious about the nerves of Alexander Blockx. And this is going to be a big-time step-up match. Yes, you were able to beat Felix, but this isn't his favorite surface. Yes, you're able to beat Cerundolo. This is his favorite surface. But he's kind of like higher, middle tier, maybe lower, high tier clay courter. Now you're going against a very solid clay court tennis player in Casper Ruud. The guy that has won this tournament. He's very comfortable on the surface. He can dictate with his forehand. I gotta pick Casper Ruud. I think it's gonna be a tough match, guys. And let me just pull up, because I like to do this as we get a little bit deeper into the tournament. I'm gonna pull up the odds sheet here because I kind of want to see what we're looking at here for the odds. I think Casper Ruud is a big favorite, similar to what we had seen from Felix, where he came in as a pretty heavy favorite against Blockx. Yeah, we have Casper at minus 290, Blockx at plus 250. I mean, that makes no sense to me, guys. I mean, I think this is like maybe 60-40 Casper Ruud, if not 50-50. Like, I don't know. I think I'm giving Casper Ruud a slight edge, but to say he's minus 300 almost is wild. I'm going to go with Casper Ruud, though, guys. I think he's going to win in 3 sets. So give me Casper to advance to the semifinals and continue his defense. He's going to win in 3. And we got it, the rematch of Munich, a chance for Alexander Zverev to right some wrongs here from last week. Cobolli and Zverev will play again in the quarterfinals of Madrid. Cobolli able to get through Medvedev, and this was a very tricky match, and honestly, I want to say like it was unnecessarily tricky. Cobolli had a set and a break lead, and it looked like he was cruising. He was dominating with his forehand. They started out, I mean, like the first few games were so long. The first game was Cobolli's service game in the first set. It was like a 10-minute game for Cobolli to hold, and you're thinking, wow, this is going to be a very tricky match for him. Medvedev extending some of these rallies, getting a lot of those shots back. But the minute that Cobolli was able to grab control of the center of the court with his forehand, he started to dominate, and we saw that kind of carry over into the second set. He wins the first set 6-3. He goes up a break, and then we get a break back from Medvedev. Cobolli up. He was up 6-3, 4-3, 2 games away from just making this a routine match. And then we get a break back from Medvedev. And then we get a break from Medvedev in the final game of that second set. And it is a tough back and forth match in the third, with Cobolli able to break it for 5-4 and then winning the match 6-4. I mean, this was incredible tennis from Cobolli. And just an incredible effort. This guy is definitely does not have 100% in the tank right now. But for him to kind of flex that clay court prowess that we always talk about, he is the better clay courter. And he showed us why. He definitely, 100%, he could have packed his bags up after losing that set and said, you know what, this isn't it. I'm tired. I need some time off. But he just fought as hard as he could to win this match. And he knew, against a guy like Medvedev, this match felt like it had turned in that second set to a potential Medvedev win. Remember, Medvedev was 2-0 against Cobolli. Cobolli had never won a set. He wins that first set pretty handily. and goes up a break, and you're like, wow, okay, like, it looks like this. And I remember, in our breakdown, guys, we talked about Medvedev, like maybe it was going to go 3 sets. Medvedev was going to get a set, and he did. But Cobolli able to survive in that third set. I'm very impressed with the guile of Flavio Cobolli to just get through that match. Now he's going to take on Alexander Zverev. This is a rematch of Munich. Zverev having a nice win over Jakub Mensik, and I think was Zverev up a break here in the... No, he wasn't. They were on serve the entire second set. This was pretty interesting because Zverev had to wrestle this match away from Mensik when at the beginning it kind of felt like it was all Zverev. He was dominating with both sides. He was serving confidently, and then Mensik able to get that tiebreak win in the second set, and he goes up a break in the third set, and you're thinking, wow, here we go, another disappointment for Alexander Zverev. But again, Zverev has shown us that he's been able to kind of tough out some of these matches, maybe not against the higher level guys, but against these guys like like Kecmanovic, like Mensik, and I believe it was it Garin that he had that tricky match in the first round. Yeah, Christian Garin, where he was down a double break in Monte Carlo. He's able to kind of just like dig in and fight in these matches. I like that. I like seeing that, but we gotta see it at this higher level against a guy like Cobolli. So Zverev able to get through Mensik 6-4, 6-7, 6-3. He advances to the quarterfinals. Looking at the head-to-head for these guys here, it is 2-1 for Zverev. Zverev winning their first meeting, which was in Paris in straight sets. Now, this was another head-to-head, guys, similar to the Medvedev one, where Cobolli had not won a set. 2-0 for Zverev going into that Munich match. Zverev beats him in the French Open last year, 6-2, 7-6, 6-1. And then Zverev gets a win in Halle on the grass, 6-4, 7-6. And last week, Cobolli able to avenge those two losses, 6-3, 6-3, taking Zverev out in his home tournament in the semifinals. Cobolli going on to lose to Shelton in the finals. Cobolli's got 5 hours and 56 hours on court, and Zverev has 5 hours and 37 minutes. We'll talk about that in a second. Cobolli coming in, he's 8-2 on the clay, 15-6 last year, 10-9 the year before. He's able to get through Cobolli in a 3-setter, Vallejo in straights, and Medvedev in 3. Zverev coming in, he's 9-2 on the clay this year, 18-7 last year, 23-6 the year before. Gets through Navoni in 3 sets, Terence Ottman in straights, and Mensik in 3. The reason why I bring up that court time, I don't think it's going to matter for Zverev, but I think it's going to matter for Cobolli. And I get it, Cobolli only having played one extra match in Munich. That was the final against Shelton compared to Zverev, but I do find that he is running on a low tank right now. And if we remember from Acapulco, the tournament that Cobolli was able to win, he came into Indian Wells, was able to get a nice win against Kecmanovic again, but lost to Tiafoe, and he just was barely even there. It was really tough to watch. His body was wrapped. The leg was wrapped. I think the arm was wrapped. And he did everything he could, but Tiafoe just too strong. And we know Tiafoe's a fitness animal. He's able to get through a lot of these tough, grinded out matches. But Cobolli, on the other hand, not able to do it consistently, I guess. Where he's able to where he's able to have that extra reserves. And I mean, talking about fitness animals, I feel like Zverev is one of those guys as well. We've seen him time in and time out going, whether it's 5 sets in the Grand Slams, tough 3-setters, and being able to bounce back and play the top-notch tennis again and again and again. This matchup is really tough, guys. I'm leaning towards Zverev, and like after my talk about Zverev yesterday, how disappointed I was in him. He's still here. He's still in the tournament. I think that he definitely is thinking about that loss to Cobolli. And I think, if anything, this is kind of like a blessing in disguise for Zverev, because this is a way for him to get kind of back on track. That loss to Cobolli rattled him, I think, a little bit. 3-3 kind of shakes you to the core and kind of makes you doubt your game and your ability to perform on the clay. I think if he gets this win here, even though Cobolli is probably on his last leg, I think he still is able to build confidence from here. This, to me, I feel like is going to be a 3-setter. The thing that concerns me the most, I feel like if Cobolli was able to dismiss Medvedev in straights, I think that really would sway me maybe towards him, just to kind of help those reserves a little bit. The way that we saw Fils win in straights today. But instead, Cobolli goes for another hour out there grinding out a tough match against Medvedev. I'm going to take Zverev. I think it's going to be a 3-setter. I think we're going to see Zverev have chances to win, maybe lose those chances, and then able to fight back and get a tough, gutsy win in a 3rd set. So give me Zverev to advance in 3. Here's a look at our round of 16 records. Both myself and the Papamoose going 6-2, so pretty solid there. Carrying our success over from the 3rd round, will we be able to match our success in the quarterfinals? We'll just have to wait and see. And as always, guys, thanks again for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Share your opinions in the comments. Share the video. We will have a video out for every single day of the Madrid Masters, recapping and talking about the picks coming up. So look out for those to keep up on everything tennis. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.